When we're knitting clothing, we want our necklines, our cuffs, our waistbands, the rims of our hats to all be a bit stretchy so we can take them all on and off, yet sturdy enough that they don't stretch out of shape. So I'm going to show you the cast on and cast off, bind off, that I prefer to use for these clothings. And that would be the cable cast on and the elastic bind off. The cable cast on starts off just like the knitted cast on that I showed you earlier, with a slip knot done in a way that the working yarn is the adjustable part. And I'm going to knit in the round, so I just need a short little tail to weave in afterwards. But if I was knitting flat and planning to sew together later, I'd leave a much longer tail for sewing. So we put the slip knot on our needle in the left hand. Then we insert the right needle in that stitch from front to back behind the left needle. Wrap our working yarn around, scoop it out, and put that new loop on the needle. And that's stitch 1 and 2. Now here's where we differ from the knitted cast on, because we need to make it a little more fabric, make it a little more stretchy. So we're going to, instead of going into that loop, we're going to go between the 2 loops. From front to back. Wrap the yarn, scoop it through to make a new loop. Put it on the left needle. Then between, snug it up evenly every time. Our needle goes between the 2 stitches. Wrap the yarn, scoop out a new stitch. And we continue in that manner until we have as many stitches cast on as we need. So you see it's making a little more fabric below than what our knitted cast on did, and it's a little stretchier. Yet it's still nice and neat and even. Now when the work is done and I want a stretchy bind off, I do the elastic bind off. So we start this by working the first 2 stitches in whatever stitch pattern they're in. So these ones are knit. And then we insert the left hand tip into those 2 stitches. And since they were knit, we'll knit them together. Then we work 1 more stitch. It's a purl stitch in this pattern. And then, since it was a purl stitch, we're going to purl them together. So we work our way through the project 1 stitch at a time, and then joining those 2 stitches. All the way around the project. Working them in whatever stitch pattern was called for. Then you'll continue in that manner all the way around until you have 1 stitch left. At that point, you would cut the tail and pull it through that stitch to fasten it off. However, since I'm knitting in the round, I like to do 1 more thing to close off that gap there. I will go into the beginning stitch to make a new stitch. And then bind that off. Now cut the yarn pull it through. It's fastened off. Then I'll weave in my ends. And now I have a nice stretchy piece. This is going to be a headband. And you'll notice compared to this piece that was done in just knitted cast on and knitted bind off, that doesn't have much stretch at all, how much different the stretch is. These are the same brand of yarn. If you found that video useful, please click the like button so that more people can be shown this video. And happy knitting!